Okay, I'm gonna start in a few seconds. So if there's anybody here, let me know that you're here. And in the meantime, oops, what was that? Is that okay? Is it all good now? Is it all good? I'm gonna check this out. Okay. Because I have not been live in a while, like a big while. So I'm gonna be making pancakes at the same time. Oh, hi. What, at like on the hour? Like at 6? Okay, so yeah, I mean, the truth is I only wanted to do a really, really short thing, which I'm gonna try out. So like, it's fine. Nobody actually has to be here. I just kind of wanted to do this live because it is convenient for me to talk out loud about my thoughts like that. So cool. Like right now, lol. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. You can always come back and watch it later. Yeah, I just felt like doing it now because I felt like it, and because I'm actually going to be making pancakes at the same time. So, hey everyone who just arrived right now, which is probably nobody, but that's okay. I'm Liora Sophie. I am a writer of spiritual fiction and urban fantasy and an all-over nerd in a lot of different areas, but specifically, one of the areas I'm a nerd in is Tanakh, which is the Hebrew word for the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament. And what I want to do with this project, what I'm going to try out is, oh, I love you too. I love you too. What I want to try to do is just kind of read one chapter, which, I'll tell you in a second how I'm going to choose which chapter, but basically read one chapter and then tell you what I think about it. That's the summary of what this thing is going to be. And in a few more words, it's that I'm going to follow along with Project 929, which is a worldwide initiative for people to read and study Tanakh together, and they do one chapter a day on weekdays, and then they leave you the weekend to catch up. And it takes 3 years to go through a full cycle because there are 929 chapters in the entire thing. So I haven't been really so great at reading it every day. I've been kind of on and off with the commitment thing, and I forget. But now, finally, they've updated their app to allow push notifications. So I'm going to try to be a little bit better about actually getting down to doing the reading. And since often when I read a chapter, I have these thoughts and then I just don't feel like writing them down, sort of. So I figured I would read it while live and run my mouth about it. How does that sound to you guys? Now, in the link, in the description, I've put a link to the text, which you can follow along with. I'm partial to reading it in Hebrew, but it is a bilingual link, so you can read it in English or in Hebrew, and, you can follow along with me that way. So that's that for now. Basically, I'm trying this out, and if it works, it works, and if not, then no big deal. And yeah, it's just supposed to be short, so because unless the chapter is super long and I have tons of things to say about it, but probably today that's not the case. So I think that was clear. If not, please feel free to ask me any questions. And I think maybe we should dive right in. Oh, but first I have to put some pancakes on the fire because, like I said, that's part of what I'm doing. So you can watch me put some pancakes on. Just briefly, because. Oh wow, these have blueberries in there? Oh my gosh. What a rare treat. Blueberries are not really an Israel thing. I mean, fresh blueberries we almost never have, except for like maybe a week or so in the summer. And the frozen blueberries are really expensive because they're just not as common here. So this is actually quite a treat. Okay. Pancake 1. Pancake number 2. Pancake number 3. Alright. You guys cook. We're gonna start. Okay, so there we go. Today in the lineup as in Project 929, I guess they started their new cycle around 2018 or 2019, I think 2019, and whatever, about a year and a half ago or something. Never mind, doesn't matter. And now, basically, we read the Tanakh from the beginning in order of appearance. So in the order that the books appear in the big good book. What?
My room?
This isn't your room, no. But I agreed to make pancakes, so yes, I'm live now. And yeah, you figured. Okay, so so right now we're in the book of Psalms and at chapter 91, which is what I'm gonna read now. And where's my thing that I brought? There we go. Okay, so like I said, you can follow along with me in the link below. And if you have questions, please ask questions. And I'll probably also have questions because, let's be honest, this book is not like any book you pick up and read. It's not always that easy to understand what's going on. Okay, now, like I said, I'm going to read the Hebrew text, but please follow along in English because I can't let go of, like, I don't know, I've been studying it in Hebrew and it's kind of hard for me to get used to the translated version. I mean, especially because I don't always agree with the translation. It always kind of changes the feel for me. So yeah, so that's it. That's that. How are those doing? Do they need attention? I'm slightly concerned about my ability to focus on both of these things all of a sudden. What? They're okay? Okay, great. All right, let's go. Let's start. So, Psalm 91. יושב בסתר עליון, בצל שדי יתלונן. אוקיי? אומר לאדוני מחסי ומצודתי, אלוהי אבטח בו. I should probably pause and say for a second that I'm not going to sort of interpret it verse by verse at the beginning. I'm sort of going to read through it and then maybe address a few verses that I think are interesting. Okay, so that was verse 1 and 2. Here we go, verse 3. כי הוא יצילך מפח יכוש מדבר הבות. בעברתו יסך לך ותחת כנפיו תחסה צינה וסוחרה אמיתו. לא תירא מפחד לילה נחת יעוף יומם. This is a verse I recognize. מדבר באופל יהלוך, מכתב ישוד צהריים. יפול מצדך 1,000 מימינך, אליך לא ייגש. רק בעיניך תביט, בשילומת רשעים תראה. כי אתה אדוני מחסי עליון שמת מעונך. לא תאונה אליך רעה, ונגע לא יקרב באוהליך. כי מלאכיו יצווה לך לשמורך בכל דרכיך. על כפיים יישאונך, פן תיגוף באבן רגליך. על שחל ופתן תדרוך, תרמוס כפיר ותנין. דנג. כי בי חשק ואפלתהו, אסגבהו כי ידע שמי. יקראני וענהו, עמו אנוכי בצרה, אחלצהו ואכבדהו. אורך ימים אשביעהו, ואראהו בישועתי. So, first of all, while a lot of, there is a lot of prose and storytelling and other things in the Bible, there is also a lot of poetry, and this is definitely much more of a poem than anything else. I mean, a lot of the Psalms are really songs and poetry. That's kind of what they are. And okay, I'm super distracted by the pancakes, so hang in there. I'll be right back. Wait, I set up a thing for this. There we go. Here?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those will kill me. Okay. So, thoughts about this. First of all, the first thing I noticed when reading this chapter is that it changes points of view a bunch of times. So, like, at first it seems like there's something, someone is saying, oh, I pray to God because God protects me. So this is obviously like a person. I say of the Lord, my refuge and stronghold, my God in whom I trust. This is a person who trusts in God. And this is in the first person here. And then it flips. So it changes from the first person to the second person, where at first the person's like, yeah, I trust in God. And then he's like, oh, talking to, first he's saying it about himself, and then he's talking to the reader about the experience of, God will protect you. He will save you. You will find refuge under his wings, etc. And then at some point, it switches, and it's like the point of view of God. Here he's saying all these things. He will order his angels, blah, blah, blah. And then, because he is devoted to me, I will deliver him. So this is obviously coming from the point of view of the worshipee.
Why do you think the second person is the person who is the poet to people? Isn't that already a shift to God's point of view?
That's a good question. God
is talking already to
about himself in the third person?
No, he's talking in the second person to as in
right.
I will say this is what God is. The poet is saying this is what God is telling us.
So, I mean, are you following along with the text?
No.
Okay. So, pull up your screen. Okay, I'm kidding. But basically, that's a very good question. And the answer is because the language of it implies that first of all, it's a continuation. It's like a continuation of the previous statement. It's, you know, he starts off saying, Omar Adonai machasiv mitzudati, etc. Ki hu yatzilcha mipach yakush, etc. Be'evrato, lo, right? And so the language tells me this is, if it's God saying it, it's God is talking about God in the third person, which I think is a little weird. And in the sense that I don't think
you realize that there's a shift at some point, right?
What I'm saying, right? Well, okay, we haven't gotten to the shift yet. there are actually multiple shifts, I think, back and forth. And one of the shifts is here at verse 14, because all of a sudden we're saying he is devoted to me, and that is obviously man devoted to God, as opposed to God devoted to man.
Okay.
Actually, it's not that obvious. But it is from the second part of the verse, because it says, I will keep him safe for he knows my name. And like, so a person can't keep God safe. Right. So it's obviously God keeping a person safe. And so, yeah, so it switches to like God's point of view. And he says a few things. When he calls on me, I will answer him. I will be with him in distress. These statements of like the protection and the keeping you safe from all harm, and I'll answer you when you're in distress. That is a very common concept in Judaism, at least in the way that we view the Jewish God, that, you know, when you're in trouble, God, you can reach out and God will answer your prayers, God will help you out, and etc. Okay, one more pancake moment. What?
They look ready.
Yeah. They look ready, they smell ready. Feel ready. I feel it. It's coming. An age of pancakes. By the way, this is not going to be a regular ritual with the pancakes. Probably it's just a one-time thing. Because I do feel like it's kind of distracting. I don't know, maybe I'm just still trying it out. Whatever. What?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna add some chocolate chips. Yeah. There's no one watching. Oh, you disappeared? Okay, bye. Okay, new pancakes are on. Okay. So back to the chapter. A little bit on what this, so that's it. So we have that interesting kind of point of view shift and voice shift. And it just in general, this chapter, what this chapter is talking about is it's like a comfort song for someone who is afraid. So what do we call that? Like a lullaby? I don't know. maybe not. But it's just sort of it's very much to comfort someone who is feeling afraid in some situation, and it covers all these different options of things that God will protect you from. And that you have to kind of, this is where the Hebrew language gets a little bit difficult, and where the translation kind of, can take it in one direction and sort of you can lose interpretational options when you pick a translation. So for example, the word devil here. So we have the word devil here in verse 3. He will save you from the fowler's trap, from the destructive plague. Okay, fine. So devil means plague, right? And here, so it appears here in verse 3, but then we see it again. I know we see it again because I saw it again. Where do we see it again? Devil. No. Thank you. Okay. So here it is again in verse 6. מדבר באופל יהלוך, מכתב ישוד צהריים. So the English translates it as the plague that stalks in the darkness, right? Now in verse 3, and I'm just looking at the 99 website here, verse 3, shoot, I have to go back to the Hebrew. Hello, Hebrew, thank you. So they translate that first appearance of differently. Okay, מדבר havot, which is kind of, at least I understand it, is kind of, it's kind of like the word is attached to the word after it, meaning chaos or trouble, and it's not, so they're not saying it's the plague itself. He's saying it's a plague of trouble, a plague of something, a plague of chaos, and that's a little bit of a different way to look at it. What do they do in the English? He will save you from the fowler's trap, from the destructive plague, right? So it's either, so that's an interesting thing, right? Also, the order of the words changes, and it's not the destructive plague. You could look at it as like a plague, like a sickness, or it's a plague of destruction, which is like the plague itself is destruction. It's not like a virus or something. One thing that really is with this double appearance of the word plague was like, relevant, because as of this stream, it is January 2021, and we are still in the throes of a plague. So, and then it was kind of cool. Like this verse comes to comfort us and say, God will protect us. Of course, at least for me, in this stage of my life, whenever I see, God's promise to protect, I always kind of feel like, okay, well, what happened to that? Like you made up, you promised to protect, so how come people are dying of COVID all over the world? And that is probably like the oldest question in religion ever. And yeah. Okay. I'm going to take a break and be back soon. All right, let's see. What else did I want to say about this verse? Oh, okay. So verse 5 and 11, which when I said like, oh, I recognize that verse, appears in some prayer that I can't. It's one of the like daily prayers, I think. Maybe it's like the evening prayer. I don't know. B will know. So I imagine we will have the answer shortly in the comments. So yeah, this verse 5 about the, don't fear the terror of the night, and don't fear the terror of the night or the hour that flies by day, and because your God is assigning angels to you to protect you from wherever you go. Those appear, just those two, right one after another in one of the daily prayers. And so when I first read this chapter, I was like, hey, yeah, I know the rest of this. This is the, I know the rest of verse 5. It's verse 11. Well, no, it turns out they're like 6 verses apart. That's a kind of an experience that actually happens to me a lot when reading the book of Psalms, because the scholars, took a lot of random verses from Psalms and just put them together here and there in whatever order they wanted in the prayers. And so we say a lot of verses that we already know, and then it turns out they're actually not right next to each other. Yeah. But I remember those 2 verses really speaking to me as a teenager, because it just, it's very comforting. Like, God is, they go through all these examples, the fowler's trap, the destructive plague, right? You're being saved from a trap, you're being saved from a plague, you're being saved from, what have we got? The scourge that ravages. That's like the word in Hebrew. I guess maybe that makes sense in English. I don't know. But basically, like from being mugged. Later on, we have this really powerful, tread on cubs and vipers, trample lions and asps, which is pretty serious. But basically, you don't have to fear wild animals, even if they're poisonous, and all these really specific fears. And then also he addresses fear of the dark, which is interesting to me because I don't think I've seen that in a lot of places. I mean, I don't remember really seeing fear of the dark addressed a lot. Okay. Oh, pancake flip. Oh, just in the nick time. Okay, this is a little bit too hot. So I'm going to switch it to the low burner. And put on a new batch. Okay. Oh, this was really cute, right? Verse 12. They will carry you in their hands lest you hurt your foot on a stone. Yeah. It's interesting because, I don't know. Well, I thought it was cute. Just this whole chapter really emphasizes the comfort element. It's really like almost like you're talking to a child in this, you don't have to be afraid of the dark. I'll carry you so you don't hurt your feet. Don't worry, I will, step on the cubs and vipers for you. In a world where, cubs and vipers are dangerous. Some of them are, but anyway, yeah. So I think that's all I have to say about this chapter. And what I would like to try to do is kind of do more of these, and hopefully not an entire half an hour, and definitely not while making pancakes. So if you think what I have to say is interesting, and then give the video a like, hit that subscribe right there, and hopefully I will see you around the tube. Okay, bye.